I had an interesting discussion with a patient today, and I think you'll extract a lot of useful information out of this. It was very interesting and entertaining and revealing at the same time. So this is a patient that's been working with me for some time now, and she has struggled with weight and eating and not being able to motivate herself to exercise and chronic stress. And I thought about that, and that's a lot of us, right? So today's visit, I came in and I asked her, so tell me, was Rome built in a day? And she thought for a moment and she said, no. And I asked her, was it built? And she said, yeah. So then I asked, well, how did they do it? And she didn't know where I was going quite with that yet. And I said, did they not worry about the fact that it wasn't going to be built today? And so what they did is they did just a little bit of work each day to get to that eventual place. In that case was building Rome. She said, absolutely, that's what happened. So then we expanded it, and I thought, do the work crews worry about what they did yesterday? And we both said, no, because yesterday's gone, right? It's in the past. And are they worrying about how much work they're going to do tomorrow? And she thought, well, no, not really, thinking along the lines of they have to plan for tomorrow, but they basically worried about today. So that's the point of the whole thing, is the only thing that we can worry about is today. We can't lose 75 pounds today, even though we would want to. We can't get our spine in full, absolute perfect shape if it's deteriorated. We can't do that today with one chiropractic visit, let's say. We're not going to exercise today and be completely fit for the rest of our lives today, for the rest of our lives, by just that workout today. But what we can do is we can take a small step, a baby step. A baby step moving forward today. That is one thing that we can do. That would be based on a lot of psychology and personal development out there, which is just work with what you have today. That would be Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. I got that audiobook. I recommend it. It's fantastic. I've listened to it 3 times plus. Also, she's a person that kind of beats herself up. She was coming in with a stick. She was coming in with a stick and always beating herself like, oh, you're so bad, and you ate poorly yesterday, and you didn't exercise last week, and you're such a bad person. And that's part of that shaming situation. And Brené Brown, and I recommend you look and listen to some of her work. She's done some great TED Talks. She's got an awesome website that I was just poking on before I came on here, Brené Brown, and she talks about shaming, and shaming, how that intensive feeling of we are faulted and weak and we beat ourselves up, right? So check her stuff out. That will help you along. It comes down to controlling our thoughts. We've discussed this. The only true freedom that anyone has any place on earth forever for their entire life is the ability to control their own thought. And when you think about that, a lot of people really recognize that's really true. That is the only true freedom. Even if we lived in a country with a totally oppressive dictatorship government, whatever it might be, or even in a household that would be that way, right? Or maybe you have an overwhelming set of stressful circumstances in your life that are just gnawing at you and being terrible, whether it's family things and work things and children things and school and money and society and needing to be great and trying to keep up with Facebook people and whatever it is and all of these intensive things. The one thing you can control is your reactions to a set of circumstances. You cannot necessarily control the circumstances, but you can control your reaction to them. So if you follow that train, it comes down to one thing, is controlling your thought. Well, how do you do that? And that was the discussion I had with my patient. How do you do that? I don't remember controlling your thought 101 in high school or even college. Right? It just didn't happen. So we have to go outside and start looking around for people that can give us that direction. So I have several recommendations that I've given to lots of my patients and also on here. Lissa Rankin, I just finished her audiobook, which is Mind Over Medicine. She's a medical physician now, and she's completely turned to the rebel side and come in and she does mind-body medicine. Dr. Kim D'Eramo, The Mind-Body Toolkit is her book. Haven't read it yet, but I've listened to a lot of her stuff and read her blogs and so forth. Really good stuff, Dr. Kim D'Eramo, The Mind-Body Toolkit. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. I've mentioned that before. I've been through his audiobook lots of times, and it's just fantastic. Don Miguel, which is the Four Agreements author, The Four Agreements. Again, an excellent series that you can really get into, showing you the tricks and techniques and suggestions in controlling your thought. Of course, my favorite long-term is anything from Tony Robbins. Controlling the gold mine between our ears. That's something that I learned 30 years ago from my first personal development person I was introduced to, who was Earl Nightingale. And I was introduced to him by my first mentor, John Whitney. Controlling that gold mine, digging into that gold mine between your ears and programming that supercomputer. It's all about taking baby steps to controlling our thought. Join me again.